Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ajiro Tech. Mm-hmm. Ajiro Tech. I felt like saying that. Really, I felt like saying that. I felt compelled to say that. I felt compelled. It's like you guys want me to say that every time on the video. Okay, so okay, I did that for you. Really, I did that for you. Welcome to another episode, and I'm using this as an episode because this is really going to be an episode on website authoring. It's going to be a long teaching hold, and I'm going to be teaching you about website authoring. This is not a past paper. So if you're looking for a past paper, there's a past paper somewhere on this YouTube channel that you can actually get acquainted with. But no, this is me teaching you website authoring, everything you need to know about website authoring, so that when it's time for you to face your exams and face your fears, trust me, it's going to be walk in the park. How awesome is that? So let's get this whole party started. Mhm. Let's get it started. Okay, so yes, website authoring. And this is the slide that I have designed myself. Credits to my work. Okay, so if you probably see it anywhere, it's probably either they've been licensed to from Ajiro Tech to um, those schools or to that teacher. Okay, website authoring. Hmm. And I'll be doing not just the coding, but also the teaching and also the writing. So we'll look about website authoring. We're simply saying that this is the authoring of a website. Okay, simply means the development of a website. So this is very important. Okay, now it's important for us to know that when we talk about a web page, which is what we're going to see in a minute, that we are saying that we have three layers, what you call the three development layer. The web development what? Layer. Okay, the web development layer. And these web development layers, right? The web page is created using them. Okay. And each of this layer, each of them, okay, each of this layer has a purpose that they serve in the development of creating a web page. Okay, so we're just getting this whole thing bit by bit. So we have the content layer, okay, the presentation layer, and we have the behavior layer. We're going to explore this one by one. But first, it's important for us to understand what a website is. Okay, so right here, we can see that a website is a collection of individual but related web pages. That's what it is. Collection of individual but related web pages. And we're going to talk about what the web page is all about. We'll talk about it. So so we talk about website, we're talking about collections of now let's do this. Let's look at the literary explanation of a website. So we have a website, and because this is going to be on YouTube, I'm careful of calling any product, but you know your favorite websites, okay? You know your favorite websites, and you know that for every website there is something called about. There's something called contact us. There's something called a gallery. All these are web pages that have been developed and incorporated to form a website. So that is why we see them that they're a collection of individuals but related what web pages. But that's not all. They are often stored together. Can you see that? They're often stored together and now hosted by a web server. Every website you see is being hosted by one particular web server or the other. It's so important. It's just when you want to build a house. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this little example. You want to build a house. And if you want to build a house, you need to have a land. Because you're not going to build your house in the sky. Although some of my students say there's three houses. Okay, fine, fine. But the tree, where is the tree now? The tree is literally in the land. Literally. So you have to acquire a land. And then you talk about blueprints of how the house is going to look like before you erect a structure. So it's the same principle when it comes to website. If you want to build a website, no doubt, go ahead, but it must be hosted by a web server. And we have tons of web servers. Okay, again, I'm not going to mention their names on it, but if you know them, please give me those web servers on the comment section. And of course, I'm going to tell you if you're right or if you're wrong. Okay, so this is very important. Now let's go forward. Web page can include different objects, and we'll talk about the different object. We're talking about what can it include in a website you've been to. In a website you've been to, you see that the website has a text, has a sound, has a video. Okay, probably I'll just go with video because video has sounds incorporated, right? Not all the time, but yeah, it does. So there's still images. So there's text, there's sound, there's video, and there's still images. Good example of still images is what you have right here. So this is a still image. So this is a good example of a still image, right? Now, I had to use still image, not images, because again, we can have still images and moving images. So I had to be careful. Because if I say images, you'll be like, hey, Mr. Jao, what about the moving images? What about the still images? So I was specific. I was specific. Okay, so now we know what a website is. We now know what a web page is. What is HTML? The first thing you need to look at is what is even the meaning of HTML. Okay, and the it's an abbreviation. Okay, it's an abbreviation, and it means hyper. The H means hyper. The T here means text. The M means markup. The L means language. You got that, right? So H is hyper, T is text, M is markup, L is language. And now we know what it is. The definition of it is a text-based language. A text-based language used to develop the content layer of a website. So it's a text-based language that we use. So when we're writing our coding, you probably see something like this. You probably see something like this. So it is a text-based language that we use to develop the content. The content we're going to create that people are going to see. They fall in the content layer of our website. Okay, so this is very important. What is CSS? Again, CSS is an abbreviation. The S means cascade. The S means what? Cascading. The S means what? Cascading. That's why I told you the C means cascading. The S means style. The other S means what? Shit. Okay, so the C is cascading, the S is style, and the other S is what? Shit. That's why you have what? Cascading style shit. Okay, so again, it is a text-based language. Okay, that we use in creating our styles. And once these styles are created, they are added to what? The web page. And it's important for us to understand that the CSS can be written. So that's simply when we talk about written, we're talking about that it is embedded. So here we can see that we have what? An embedded CSS. That simply means that it falls inside the body. And we have the internal CSS that falls within the head section. And then we have the attached. The attached or, okay, too many grammars. I'm sorry. Too many grammars. Yes, let me write it down. Too many grammars. I'm sorry. So here you have what? The attached what? CSS. Now the attached CSS is the external CSS. So I talked about the fact that we have the internal CSS that falls, this falls what? Within the head section. And then we have what? The embedded CSS. Okay? So when we talk about the attached, it is created in a separate file. And that file has an extension of .css. Now, this file has no HTML included. So these are where the styles are written, and they are being attached onto what? Your web page. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So we have it as the .css what? Extension. Okay. The next thing is, let's talk about the web development layer. But before I proceed to the web development layer, it's important for us to take note of this. Files are written in HTML using a simple text editor. Now, what are those simple text editors? I'm going to show you. We have the Sublime Text. You can either use the Sublime Text right here, okay, and this is how it looks like, right? I'll probably just show the interfaces of everything. So this is how the Sublime Text looks like. Good. We already have some codings here, and trust me, I will explain everything here. So most of you are like, what is happening? So I will explain everything right here, okay? You probably see it. So this is how it looks like for the Sublime Text. The next one is the Notepad++. So you can actually use a Notepad, or you can use a Notepad++. So this is the Notepad++. Okay, so this is how the Notepad++ looks like. You can see they're all HTMLs around. Okay, then the next one is the Visual Studio Code. Okay, the Visual Studio Code, you can actually use that to write as well. And I want to show you how the interface looks like, so you can actually see that. Um, so this is probably this. Okay, so if you can actually, if you want to create with the Visual Studio Code, you can come here to creating a new file, and once you do that, you're actually good to go. And then you can save it .html. You create an HTML, and then you're good to go. So it's actually quite simple to actually do that. Right here, you can actually save your work, and if you save your work with HTML, and then you're actually good to go. You can come here to save as, and you can always change it to what? Your HTML, and then you can put in anything you want to put in, and that is all. So probably I will just go to desktop and just say hello. So I'll just probably do hello, right? Okay, hello Ajiro, and then I'll save this, and we can start writing all our codes we want to write. You can see the idoc type, and then you can come here to HTML, and then it will probably just give you a closing. By the time you put this, and then you can come here to always close it as much as possible. So this is very, very important. Okay, so you can go on again. We can have an extension where you can just bring in the HTML, and it will just probably give you a template for it. But probably this is probably a different video if we're going to explore the Visual Studio Code in writing HTML solely. Okay, so the next one is, now that is literally, I talked about the notepad. You can actually use the notepad. Now for the MacBook, there's what called bracket, right? You can actually use bracket in writing your codes as well. Okay, so this is very important. Let's get back. So I need to explain all that for you. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so we call them the what? Text editors. That's what we call them, right? The text editors, right? We can also use the web authoring packages. Now, the web authoring packages we have the Adobe Dreamweaver. Okay, this is how the interface looks like for the web authoring packages. Adobe Dreamweaver, this is how the interface looks like. Okay, it's a paid version for it. So this is how the interface looks like. If you want to create the HTML and you come here, it's going to show you this particular what structure. Okay, the next one is the Microsoft Expression Web 4. Okay, so these are what we are using for web authoring packages. There's also a front page, right? But I would recommend you either use the Adobe Dreamweaver or the Microsoft Expression Web 4. That is if you want to use the web authoring packages for it. But again, I've talked about the simple text editors that you can actually use. Okay, I'm just going to close all of them right now. Okay, and if you don't have any of them or you have a notepad, please go ahead. Okay, so good. I'll probably close this as well. All right. So we call them the web authoring packages, right? So files that are written in text formats, okay, are usually saved with .htm or .html. So the files that you're going to work with in your IGCSE is .htm, and it's still the same thing, right? Whether it's .html, .htm or .html, they are text formats that are written. We use the writing the HTML, so it's fine. Okay, so they have those extensions. Again, it's always important, and this is what I want to talk about, whether you're using the text editors, the simple text editor, using the web authoring packages. It's always important to preview your work using a web browser. Using a web browser. And we talked about web browsers in chapter 10 communication. We said that it's a software that allows us to view our web pages onto our local computer. Right? You see that in chapter 10 communications of your textbook. So it's always important to always use the web browser to preview your work, okay, so that you can be able to see how your work looks like at the final end. Using the design view for your web authoring packages is not always the best way to check if your work is accurate. Okay, so what are those examples of web browsers? And yes, I can talk about them because again, there are videos on them, so that gives me the license to do that. We have the Microsoft Edge. Okay, right here we have um, the Internet Explorer. Okay, we have the Google Chrome. We have the Mozilla Firefox. Right, to always preview our web pages. I would recommend the Microsoft Edge or the Google Chrome, whichever one you want to use is fine. Okay, so now let's dive back in to the web development layer. So let's talk about the content layer. Now, the content layer is where the content of your web page, like we talked about, such as your text and images, are placed, right? Is where the content of your web page, such as your text or images, are placed. It is also where page structures, the page structures, such as what? Your frames, your tables, your hyperlinks. Okay, so it is where the page structures, such as what? Your frames, your tables, your hyperlinks, are also placed. Now, we're going to be working with tables as a part of our page structures in order to ensure that our work is placed well. It is also important for you to note that the layer is sometimes called the structured layer. So if they ask you what is the structured layer, they're invariably saying the same thing, which is what? The content layer. So this is where we develop the content layer of our web page. And we use the HTML to do that. We use what? The HTML to do that. Hope this is clear. Capish? Capish. All right. All right. The presentation layer. This is where the visual impact of a web page is created. When you go into a website and you see the web page, you see the website so catchy, like, oh my god, this website is so good. It's so good, so good, so good. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's because of the presentation layer. Okay, it's the presentation layer. You see a house that looks so catchy. It's because of the colors, the design. Yeah, the colors is important. No matter how good the structure is, if the color is bad, the building is bad. If the color is bad, the website is bad. So this is where the visual impact of the web page is created and contained. And this is where the styles that we want to use are being presented. So we see that it is the visual impact of the web page that is created and it contains the styles to be used. So essentially, we're talking about the color scheme. Colors in everything towards the beauty. The clothes you put on, the cars you drive, the house you live on, everything that has to do about beauty has to talk about, we have to talk about color scheme. It's all attributed towards the color themes. Okay, the fonts. In terms of website, the fonts. Okay, and then you start talking about chapter 9 of the textbook, audiences. Okay, what kind of audience when you're creating a website? What kind of audience are going to be in your website? Is it the younger children, the older children, or the adult, or the older people? So this is very important because each audience have a need. And I have a video somewhere about chapter 9 audiences that explains everything on what I'm saying. So again, when we are developing the presentation layer, we do that using what we call what? The CSS, which means what? Cascading style sheet. The HTML means hypertext markup language. Hope we are learning. Okay, so again, this is a full course in episodes. I did on spreadsheet on one go on one video. Okay, I was very impactful, but I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this because again, this is website authoring, and I want to take it. I want to break it down bit by bit so that you can go through this course and then come out in flying colors. The behavior layout. The behavior layout is where all actions such as what? Controlling elements. This is where all actions such as what? Controlling elements, right? Now, when we talk about controlling elements, we're not talking about hyperlink because hyperlink is already in the content layer. So this is where the all actions such as the controlling element on a web page are created. And they are usually created using what we call the scripting language. And I'll give you an example. It's right here, the JavaScript. So why the content layer is done with HTML, the presentation layer is done with CSS, the behavior layer is done with what? The JavaScript. And it has an extension called .js. And if you're wondering, what does .js mean? It means JavaScript. Okay, so now you've learned something. All right, so let's go ahead. So hope this is clear. Please let me know in the comment section if you're learning, and let me know what area that seems confusing to you in each of these episodes. Okay. So that's the first thing we look at. Create a web page. When we are creating a web page, it is always the question on the mind of every developer. Where do I start? And if you look at chapter 7, we'll talk about the system life cycle. Yeah. It paints a picture of the cycle that you have to go through before developing that software. It's still the same thing for website anyway. Okay, so this is very important. So a good technique for working a web page is to tile your window. It's to tile your window on the screen. Now, here I have 4, but it's always important to do 2, right? It's always important to do 2. Why is it important to do 2? Right? Instead of 4, you can also do 2. Why? Because here you have the code view and you have what? The browser view. So again, I'll just probably just do this. This right here is called your code view. And here you have what? The browser view. Okay. Right? So it simply means that it's important so you can always see how the work looks like as you're coding. So you can fit them what? Side by side. That's what I did. Fitting them what? Side by side. However, you do any work in HTML and CSS, it's recommended you open 2 copies of a text editor and a web browser. Okay, so this is very important. And of course, the folder also has to be open. So let's talk about them. How do you use the content layout to create a web page structure? The first thing you look at is the idoc type, HTML. But it's important for us to understand that the HTML tags are shown using what we call the angle brackets. So we have them here, angle brackets. So all these are called what? The angle brackets right here. Okay, and they're around the tags. Okay, they're around the tags, and it's essentially telling. Okay, it's essentially telling. Essentially, it is telling. Okay, the browser that this is a markup tag. That this right here is what? A markup tag, and not a text to be placed on the web page. That's what this is. Okay, so invariably that's what it does. So it's informing us that this right here, okay, it's telling us that this right here is what? A backup tag, and all the text will be displayed. So you don't see this on your web page. The banner does not display the HTML tag, but it uses them to display the content. What then becomes the content? The content here becomes hello. Okay, so this becomes what? The content. Okay, so most HTML commands have two tags. We have this right here is the opening command. Okay, and this right here is what? The closing command. Can we see that? So this right here is the closing command, and this right here is what? The opening command, and each of them have what? A pair of angle brackets around them. A pair of angle brackets what? Around them. So this is very important. Okay. So again, all HTML web page starts with the iDog what? Type HTML. This is called a declaration, right? It is called a declaration. Yes, it has an angle bracket around it, but it is not a HTML tag. It is not. It is the first thing that is in your markup, right? So essentially, the iDoc type HTML is a declaration, and it is an instruction to the browser to tell it that the page is written in HTML. This iDoc type means document type, right? Rather than any other word, markup language. And the first tag that comes after it is what? Your HTML. Okay, and then we have what? The head section, they have the body, and that is all. It is important for us to understand that with the exception of the doc type statement, all HTML tags should be in lowercase. This is very important. The head and body section of a web page. So it's important for us to understand that each web page has two clearly defined sections. Okay, it's important that we know this. Two clearly defined sections. We have the head section and we have the body. Very important. We have the head section and we have what? The body. Okay, now let's talk about the head section. Now, in the head section, it begins with what? The head HTML tag. That's what it begins with. The head what? HTML tag. It begins with that. Okay, it begins with that, and you have to close it. Again, this is what? The opening tag or the opening command, and this right here is what? The closing command of the head. Okay, so again, objects between these tags are not usually displayed by the web browser. Anything that falls on the head section are not displayed by what? The head what? By the web browser. They are not usually displayed by the web browser. However, there's one I want to talk about, okay? Because there are a few tags that are universally accepted within the head section of a web page. And one of them is title, right? Again, the title does not is not being displayed within the web browser, but rather it is displayed in the browser toolbar. The title is not found in the content section, right? But it is displayed in your browser toolbar. So where you have your tabs, that is where you see the title of your web page. It is very important. And not only title, we have in the head section, universal tags that are accepted, we have the base, we have the link, we have the meta, we have the styles, even we have the scripts. And we're going to look at them one after the other, exceptional of the script, because this goes um, beyond the scope of the syllabus. Okay, so again, it is the page title used if a web page is displayed in your to your favorite in your browser. Okay, is the title that is also displayed in search engine result. And we've talked about search engine in chapter 10, communications. This is very important. The next one is the body section. Now, the body section, right, starts with the body tag, right? Take note, they're all enclosed with the angle brackets, and it's closed with what? The body tag. Now, what closes a tag is the angle bracket, a forward slash. This right here is called what? A forward slash. Let me put it somewhere here. It's called what? The forward slash. Okay? Between these tags, and they are displayed in what? The web page. It is important for us to know that the markup in HTML, right, is the set of tags. Okay? Is a set of tags and attributes used to structure and format content of a web page. I'm going to take that again. I said it's the set of tags and attributes that we use to structure, okay, and format the content of a web page. Okay, so this is very important. So this is how the structure looks like. We've talked about the declaration that tells that this particular document is written in HTML. We have the HTML, we have the head section, and we have what? The body section, and then we close our HTML. Okay, the next thing is comment. How do we add comments to our HTML markup? There's comment in the presentation layer, there's comment in the content layer. And comments are non-executable. It simply means that we've talked about it in chapter 7 under documentation. So they tell computer professionals, right, what the coding is all about. They are non-executable. You don't see comment in your content in the browser view. They are just there to just explain what a particular code is all about. Okay, so comments can be added to your markup. Okay, and especially if there are notes you wish to make. I talked about the fact that they don't display on the web page. So they are useful for making sure that now for exam purposes, your candidate details, which is your name, comma, space, right? Center number, comma, space, candidate number. I'll take that again. So we have your name. This is the sequel. We'll talk about your name. We'll simply say what? Your full name. Please take note. That means your first name or your last name or the name you registered for your IGCSE, right? We have what? The center number. So that means every school has what? A center number. And then the candidate number as well. What is the number that you have been given? Okay? On every web page. Even if you're not instructed to display them, comment starts. Now, this is very important. Comment starts with this, an angle bracket, exclamation mark, a dash, dash. This is the opening command. And of course, you have your text. And the closing command is a dash, dash, and then an angle bracket. So again, they don't affect the markup, and they can be placed either in the what? Head section or body section. Okay, so this is very important, or after any tag. Okay, so this is very important. It's important for us to note that text is organized into paragraphs, right? With the paragraph styles applied. So that simply means that text are organized with what? With this, the paragraph. Okay, and headings have different styles to the paragraph. So we have 6 headings. So that means we have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading what? 6. So again, all text added to a web page should have a tag telling the browser what text style should be applied. Is it going to be a paragraph? Is it going to be a heading? What text style? Is it going to be bolded? What text style should be applied? So there are a number of predefined styles available for use in a web page. We've talked about this. This is a tag. This is the HTML tag for paragraph. Okay, and we've talked about the heading styles as well. So we have another one called the bullet or numbered list. Now we'll talk about the bullet list. Okay, so now we have the bullet list, we have the numbered list. Now for the bullet list, the bulleted list, they are seen as what? The unordered list. They are the unordered list. Why your numbered list? Okay, are the what? Ordered what? List. Okay, so here we have, for the unordered list, we have the tag UL. For the ordered list, we have what? OL. And the list item begins with the opening tag of list and the closing tag of what? List, which is LI. It is essential that the text is typed exactly as shown. One typing error may cause the web page not to function as expected. It is acceptable to use capital letters in the text that is displayed in the web page, but it is not acceptable in the HTML tag. So this is very important. It's not acceptable in the HTML tag. Okay. So for this episode 1, we're going to look at tax 1, and in episode 2, we'll continue. Tax 1. Create and save a web page showing paragraph and heading styles. Type the following markup into your web authoring package, replacing Ajiro Tech with your name. So let's do that. So I'm going to open tax 1. So this lesson slide source file will be found in the video description in this video you're watching. A link is right there that you can click on to download this so that you can follow step by step. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to click on what? Extract all. I'll click on extract. Okay. So that's how we do it. So I'm going to close this. If this was to be passworded, you have to install WinRAR or 7-zip, and right here on WinRAR, you click on extract tool. If this was passworded, but since there's no password, you can always do extract all on extract tool. It's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to open this and I'm going to click on tax 1. Tax 1. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to right click on this and click on what? Open with Microsoft Word Expression Web 4. So it's going to open here. Now, quick tips that I want to show you. Now, when you have your Microsoft Expression Web opened, now let me do this. Let me open my Expression Web. When you have this open, there are a few things that you need to do to set up. Now you can close all these guys here, leaving only the manage styles. Now, for example, you close this. What do? You can come to panels and right here click on what? Manage styles. Okay, that's the first thing. Now we have the design view, we have the split view that splits the code view and the design view, and we have the code view. It's always important to change your HTML, which is the doc type and schema. So if I click here, right, go to what? Under the document type declaration, change it to what? HTML5. Now the default HTML file extension is .html, which is fine. The schema version is 2.5. You leave it like that. Now you go to file. How do you preview it in the Microsoft Edge? You go to file, you go to browser, preview browser, you click on what? Edit browser list. You click on edit browser list, you click on add, you type Microsoft Edge. Okay, right here you click on browse, come here to this PC, Right here, when you click on this PC, if you have a Windows or local disk, click on it. Scroll down um, to program files 86. Program file 86. Click on Microsoft. Click on Edge. Click on Application. Then right here, click on what? The MS Edge. Click on Open. So now you have this. I already have this here. And once you do that, you click on what? OK. Okay. You click on what? OK. So I'm going to close this since I already have it. Now, once you click on OK, you probably have this here. So you check this and check Chrome. You can uncheck the rest. Okay. You can uncheck the rest. Just click on Chrome, click on Microsoft Edge, and then you click on what? OK. Okay. So now when you come to file, you come to preview browser, you can now preview in what? In what? Your Microsoft Edge. You can also come here as well, and then you can do a preview on it right here, right? Or just click on F12 and that will take you there. Okay. So this is very important on setting up your Microsoft Expression Web. So task one, I'll right click on it, open with Microsoft Expression Web 4. So I have this. Now again, we have the iDoc type HTML, we have the HTML, we have the head section, we have the body, and we have the closing HTML. So they're all closed and open. Okay, so here they said what? Type the following backup into your web authoring package, replace it Ajiro Tech with your name. So right here, I'm going to replace it with my name, which is Ajiro ND. Add a comment after the tag, markup created on, okay, markup created on. So what I would do here is, since you already have the lesson slide, or if you don't have it, because again you probably have to get a license for it, and then probably just it's just a token really, so it's so expensive really. If you get it each of them, you probably just have to pay a discounted rate, but you have to pay the price for each of them. But if you get it the whole package, talks about all the lesson slides, then you get a discount for purchasing all Agile text materials. Okay. All right. So here you have what? The markup created. So I'm going to highlight this and I'll copy it. Markup created on. So now we're creating a comment. They say add a comment after the HTML tag. So it's going to be what? I'm going to put mine in the head section. Okay. So I'll probably put it here, right here. So I have what? The angle bracket, exclamation mark, dash dash, space. Now notice that the moment you have that open tag, everything here becomes what? A comment. So it simply means that if I save this like this, let me save it, let me preview it in my Edge, watch what happens. It's showing blank because they are all seen as what? Comment. It is not executable. So I'll come here to say, okay, I'm going to paste it, right? Backup created on, space, dash dash, and then I'm going to close it. So now I can go here to what? Save. Here is to save, or click on file and then save. Okay, so if I refresh, I have this. It's always important that once you preview in your browser, you don't have to keep previewing. You don't have to keep going to file, preview your browser, and then click on it because it keeps creating multiple tabs. Okay, so what you have to do is once you have previewed it on your browser once, you have to what? Save, and once you save, you come here to what? Refresh. Okay, so let's do the next one. Always remember to add your name, center number, carry number to all of your printouts. So I'll hit on enter, the angle bracket, exclamation mark, dash dash, my name, Ajiro ND. Now you can see that everything here is what? A comment, comma, space, right? My center number is AN017, right? Comma, space, 000 or 2024 as of the time of this recording, right? 2024, right? Space, dash dash, what? And then I have what? The angle bracket. So now you can see that this is just what for comment. So now I can save this, and if I come to my browser view and I refresh, you will see that literally nothing has happened. The only thing that's happened here is what? The name that we have changed. So let me explain the code. So here it means this is paragraph. These are the different types of heading: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. Now it has the opening tag and it has the closing tag. It has the opening tag, it has the closing tag. It has the opening tag, it has the closing tag. Take note, they are all separated. The closing tag has what? Difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is that it has what? A forward slash. Okay? And this is what? The paragraph style. And that's why if you look at it in the browser view, you see that H1 has the highest heading, seconded by this, third by this, fourth, fifth, and then sixth, and then you have the paragraph style. So this is very important. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so we have been able to do this right here. Now, they said what? So what we're going to do now, let's look at this. You see that this is what Ajiro Tech Tax 1. That is because Ajiro Tech Tax 1 is in the title section right here. Ajiro Tech Tax 1 is in the title. If you change this right here, you will see that, let me, for example, let me remove this and save. Now, Control S is also to save, or a comment to save. If I go to my browser toolbar and I refresh, the one is off. If I come here to undo my work and save and go to the browser view and I'm going to refresh, it's going to have one. Okay, so this is very important. I'm going to stop here. So I'm just going to do this. Done. Okay, episode 1. Okay, so I'll stop here. In the next episode, we would continue from this. Okay, please do what you share this video with your friends, your classmates that are preparing for IGCSE, so that they can learn website authoring the right way. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.